Trump is weak. Trump always chickens out. You can rely on him for nothing. No consistency, no follow through, no competence, no fucking plan. People say, trust the plan. What plan? The only thing you can trust Trump to do is chicken out, back down, cave every single time in every way.
What's up, guys? We are looking at a clip today by Nick Fuentes. It's a couple weeks old, but still highly relevant. In this clip, Nick Fuentes is talking about Donald Trump, and Nick Fuentes is going to make the claim that Donald Trump plans on walking back his enforcement of immigration policy and his plans to remove all of the illegal migrants. I've got a few thoughts to add on it. Let's go ahead and we'll get into the clip.
And I think it's fitting at this point in time to look back on the year and how things are going and how Trump is doing. How is this golden age? How is the second term? And you know what's really amazing? What's really coincidental about today? We get this quote from Trump at a press conference at the White House this afternoon. I'm going to read it to you. Here we are, 1 year into the golden age. I mean, literally exactly 1 year. So we are now entering year 2 of the second Trump term. This is what Trump said today in the press conference. And this is a quote. He said, "We have a lot of heart for people who came into the country illegally, but they're good people. And they're working now on farms. They're working in luncheonettes, hotels. We're not looking to, well, we're looking to get the criminals out right now. The criminals. I think it's very important." Wow. Now, we did a show on Friday where I talked about this. There was a big story, I believe in Axios is the one that had the exclusive. And they talked about how there was a lot of hesitancy, doubt, second guessing inside the Trump administration about their illegal immigration enforcement policy. It said that unnamed White House officials thought that we needed to recalibrate the strategy, needed to rethink how they're treating illegal immigrants in light of how the public is reacting to these videos and photos and data that is coming out about ICE. And it's no secret, if you look at any opinion survey, public polling on this, the public is turning against Trump's immigration agenda. They're turning against ICE. The public says that ICE is too heavy-handed. They're undisciplined. They say that they're not actually in favor any longer of mass deportations of all illegal aliens, but maybe only the criminals. And this has been a trend which has been going on for a year. And people in the administration are noticing that. And there's now a ton of pressure coming from outside the White House because we're in an election year now. Coming up into November, it is the midterm elections. The Republicans have a very small majority in the House that they absolutely need to protect. And they need to protect it because if they even lose just a handful of seats, Democrats gain control, and that gives them subpoena power, impeachment power. They're going to use these powers to shut down the administration, prosecute cabinet officials. So all the Republicans in Congress are calling up the White House saying, Houston, we have a problem. The public is not liking the deportations. It's not good optics. We're going to get killed. The billionaires are calling up Trump, Jamie Dimon, Larry Fink, big tech, little tech. The podcasters, Theo Vaughn, Tim Dillon, Joe Rogan, they're all out there on the show saying this is getting a little bit to be too much. It's a little bit too brutal. And I told you last week, it's not a good sign that the call is coming from inside the House. Now, Trump administration officials are planting a story in the paper saying, we're going to walk it all back. We're going to recalibrate. We're going to rethink. We need to change the strategy. What does that mean? It means we are getting ready to cave to public pressure.
In a previous video I made, someone left a comment stating that this was all on purpose and that we have the potential to remove these migrants without all of this media attention and without all of this conflict. And I realized I hadn't actually articulated my thoughts on that interpretation. And I just want to say I 100% agree with that statement. The very moment these people even approached our border and started interacting with NGOs, there were tech companies that started tracking them right then and there through their cell phones. These people are getting money from the government. The government knows exactly where they are. The government tracks all of us. You cannot drive down the street without being recorded by 15 different cameras at intersections. You can't go to the grocery store without being recorded by cameras that I guarantee you are connected to the internet and almost definitely feed up into the Palantir searchable database. So don't make the mistake of thinking that the government doesn't have a cleaner way of doing this that doesn't cause huge blowback with the population. The very same tech companies that are tracking these people behind the scenes and have been tracking these migrants since the beginning, they're also offering the solution to the very problem that they created by bringing these people in. They want a surveillance state, they want a panopticon, and they want it on a global level. So I just wanted to say that I agree with both that person who left that comment. I think it was on a Static in the Attic video that I made. And also, I want to agree with a lot of what Nick is saying, that I don't think Donald Trump ever planned on enforcing immigration policy. I think that's just a lie that he told us as a politician to serve his own purposes, just as all politicians do, whether they're on the left or the right. So unfortunately, no one is coming to save us. It really doesn't matter who we vote for. We are the only ones who can enforce our own borders. Until we understand that a fifth column occupies our state, we will never be able to protect the nation.
The public is turning against the agenda. Our allies, our political allies, are turning against it. They're raising up the SOS. They're putting out the SOS message. I said it's not a good sign. It's not what you want to see 1 year in. 2 weeks into the new year, 2 weeks into the midterm year. You don't want to hear this because it telegraphs that they are about to back down. I mean, I literally said this on Friday. I said, it's not what you want to see. Buckle up. I said, because this is how it starts. Well, now here we are on Monday, and apparently this is the new policy. Only criminals, not regular illegals. And it's amazing because I predicted this exactly in 2024. I said verbatim, this is the scenario. I said, watch. I said, because come 2026 in the midterms, it'll be a repeat of 2018 when they said kids in cages. Trump is putting kids in cages at the border. Look at these crying immigrants. Shut it down. And Trump did. Trump reversed the policy, stopped enforcing, and we got the worst illegal immigration in 20 years the following year. I said this in 24. I said, mark my words, Joe Rogan is going to turn against it because he is not a nativist, okay? He's not a white nationalist. Sorry, that's just true. I said, Congress is going to turn against it. The media is going to put it all over the TV. They're going to make public opinion change. I said, and Trump will cave because Trump is weak. Trump is weak. Trump always chickens out. You can rely on him for nothing. No consistency, no follow through, no competence, no fucking plan. People say, trust the plan. What plan? The only thing you can trust Trump to do is chicken out, back down, cave every single time in every way. And here we are. Pressure's up, midterms are on, the media's putting it out there, the public's against it. And people said about this second term, they said it's a good thing that he's term limited. They said it's a good thing, it's a strength that he's a lame duck because then he don't have to worry about re-election. And if he doesn't have to worry about re-election, then he can really do whatever he wants for the full 4 years. He doesn't need to think about the middle, the moderates, the independents, whatever. People thought he could really go balls to the wall because he's not constrained by public opinion. I said, yeah, well, that's not really how this works. And here we are. So Trump is backing down. Now, mind you, we got to this point where the deportations are visible and they're somewhat substantial. 300,000 people. I mean, it's not nothing, but it's really not, it's not great. They deported 300,000 in 2025, and deporting just that many people is what got the media to freak out. Deporting just that many people is what got the public to turn against the policy. And we need to triple those numbers, okay? So we did 300,000 deportations in 2025. We need to get up to like 1 million per year at least. So if 300,000 was so visible, controversial, sensational, how do you triple that number without the backlash getting worse? You can't. And by the way, out of the 300,000 that were deported, the 300,000 that were arrested, about 2/3 of those people have no rap sheet. So fully 65% of the illegals that are in detention facilities, they don't have a prior criminal record. They're only being detained because they're in the country illegally. So out of the 300,000 arrested, the 300,000 deported, it's only 200,000 between those two figures that even have a rap sheet. So when Trump comes out and says, we're only going to focus on criminals, does that mean that the enforcement is going to shrink by 65%? That's kind of what it sounds like. So I would be remiss if I didn't point this out. I do want to touch on that just very briefly, so we'll leave it at that, and we're going to pay close attention to it. We'll see how that affects enforcement. We'll see if there's a policy change. But this is now the second story. 2 weeks. Well, I guess 3 weeks. But it's a second story 3 weeks into 2026 where the Trump administration is signaling they're going to change the immigration policy under pressure from the media and the public, just as I predicted. So don't be surprised if it grinds down to a halt. And you know what? That means the protesters won. The protesters fucking won. Trump went out there, made a big thing of it. We're going to do mass deportations. We don't play around. Big raids, sensational hype edits of the raids. These shithead leftists throw themselves in front of ICE, chasing them around, blowing their whistles, firebombing ICE detention facilities. Trump threatens to shut it down, doesn't. Threatens to send in the National Guard, barely does. Threatens the Insurrection Act, doesn't, again. Then caves on the policy. What was it all for? Any of it. It's a big joke.
Thanks for watching that video and listening to my comments. If you made it this far, please consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons and sharing this video to help the channel grow. And also, I've got a channel on Rumble that I started. It's not going to be very active for the first month, but it's called Good Times, Great Oldies, and I hope to do deep dive historical analysis, some reaction commentary, and I would also like to do in-person interviews with a few key figures. So we'll see how that unfolds. Thanks so much for watching, and be well.